So what I would like to do is kind of recount the circumstances leading up to this and what we're actually investigating out here. As many people are now aware, this started at the Lake Wales Police Department yesterday morning at around 5:30 a.m., where a suspect had killed an entire family. That family was a 40-year-old girlfriend of our suspect, Al Joseph Stenston. Then three children. The oldest, 21 years old, who was a male, a 17-year-old child, and an 11-year-old child. Again, that is being investigated by the Lake Wales Police Department down in Polk County. As a part of their investigation, they put out information, and BOLOs and their detectives and investigators were brought to the city of Sanford. That was probably in the early morning hours of this morning, around 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a report of the suspect's vehicle being located directly across from the Summerlin Hotel. That vehicle was noticed a couple of times. It was moved, and ultimately the Lake Wales police officers, detectives, and the Sanford police detectives saw the suspect walking across the street, and around 3 o'clock in the morning contacted the Seminole County Sheriff's Office and combined municipality SWAT team. A moment there. Our SWAT team consists of representatives from 5 of the 7 municipalities, and when we're fully staffed, we come together, we train, we work together. SWAT team arrived on scene at around 6 a.m., and at the same time, court orders were in the process of getting a search warrant for the hotel. There was ongoing negotiations by way of cell phone from the Lake Wales police officers who had already had somewhat of a relationship. During those conversations, they were talking with the suspect's brother. In the background, they could hear the suspect, so there was a pretty reliability confirmation that he was at this location. And then ultimately, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office combined SWAT effort, crisis negotiation team, took over those negotiations. And at one time, they appeared to be pretty successful. However, our suspect did at numerous times, both with the Lake Wales police investigators as well as Sanford and members of our crisis negotiation team, make the comment that this would end one of 3 ways. I'm going to kill myself, you're going to kill me, or I'm going to surrender. It seems like a natural 3-scenario way to end this thing. But the negotiations worked so well, at one time our team was able to convince the suspect to actually exit the hotel room. Now, he was staying in a hotel directly next to his brother that was in the hotel. We were able to convince the brother to come out. We were able to take the brother to safety. He was no longer there. And then the negotiations were continuing for hours. I mean, the last thing we want to have to do is use lethal force. Ideally, we would like to talk somebody and bring them into custody. At one time, we were able to talk him into putting a handheld firearm down. Again, we don't know the caliber of the gun, but he had a handgun in his hand. He had a handgun in his pocket at one time. And as those negotiations continued, we were able to get him to place the gun down on the ground and step away from it. As he stepped away from the firearm on the ground, our SWAT team utilized what's called a less lethal option. It's a 40 millimeter foam baton, it's called. It's a projectile that comes out that is not intended to create fatality or serious injuries, just simply neutralize the threat to allow us to go in there and apprehend the suspect. We successfully deployed that, but it had little effect on the suspect. The suspect immediately went for the gun on the ground, and at this time we don't know if he actually picked the gun up, put it in his hand, but he was going for the firearm when 3 of our SWAT team members, 1 member of the specialized unit of the Sanford Police Department opened fire, neutralizing the threat, and the suspect is now deceased. The people who fired were 2 members of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, 1 member of the Altamont Springs Police Department, and 1 member of the Sanford Police Department. That's why Chief Cecil Smith, Chief James Riggs, great partners to our effort, great participants with the SWAT team, were able to come over there. As soon as the suspect hit the ground, our SWAT team operators moved in. This is an incredibly difficult situation. One of our SWAT operators actually immediately started to administer CPR to the decedent after the shooting. Of course, that was unsuccessful, but our operator was then covered in the suspect's blood. And and now we have asked FDLE to come in, as we typically do, to conduct a full and independent review and investigation of all the circumstances leading up to this case. What we know about Al Joseph Stenston, he's 38 years old. He has mild encounters with the criminal justice system. Many people would say they're pretty significant. He's been arrested a couple of times for burglary. He's had a couple of charges in the past for domestic violence, but we're still gathering his complete history to find out what was actually going on and all of those circumstances and details. As you can imagine, we're going to wait until FDLE conducts that full independent review of the circumstances, which will include interviewing of our SWAT team members, the folks that are out there. And at this point in time, there is no threat to our community. Any threat that was presented here was very specific to the incidents occurring down at the Lake Wales area where the initial incident occurred, and then of course relocated up here. I want to thank our partners, of course all of the Seminole County municipalities, of course our partners at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to coming in and picking up this investigation, and all of the people who are helping put the dots together that may have seen suspicious activity, noticed the car, that will kind of help us better understand what's going on in the coming days. So that's a high level report trying to kind of, I don't know any of the other details surrounding the incident down in Polk County. I think that the Lake Wales Police Department to speak to that. At this time, I'll turn it over to Chief Cecil Smith to see if he has anything that he would like to add.
It's a great opportunity for us to show that the unifiedness that we have within Seminole County. When we were locating this individual at 2 o'clock this morning, our officers realized that something was wrong, and had immediately reached out to the Sheriff's Department to say, hey, listen, we need to put something together to try to bring this to an end. The unfortunate end is that this individual chose to end it in the manner in which he did. As the sheriff has indicated, it's still a very active investigation. FDLE is doing their part at this point. We're making sure that our officers, the officers that were involved, are being taken care of, and we will continue to provide the best service we possibly can here in Seminole County.
Why Sanford?
We have no idea.
He doesn't have any ties to this city?
What we know right now, there is no ties to the city at all.
Was his brother living in the hotel? Was he staying there prior, or did they both come here together?
From what we have right now, it appears that they both got here at the same time.
Any of his other family members here with him?
As far as we know, it's just his brother.
Will the brother face any charges at all?
We'll leave that up to the state's attorney to make that decision.
The only reason to bring it up, Chief, the Slumberland Motel is a bit of a well-known locally, but it's not exactly, what you would imagine somebody would pick as their destination. So you just think that he was leaving the scene of whatever occurred in Lake Wales and randomly picked that spot?
Well, Dave, I think it's important to mention that his brother was already here. So he went here because he's in the hotel room next to his brother.
Okay, so I guess that wasn't clear to me. Why was his brother already here?
His brother was living here.
In the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. So his brother was here prior
Correct.
to him showing up this morning?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't clear the first time around. So he had a family member already in Sanford at the Slumberland, and he reunited, if you will, with his brother.
I would say he was staying at the hotel. As you know, Slumberland is a day-to-day, week-to-week type of hotel. So to say that he's a resident, I would not classify him as a resident, but he was staying in the hotel.
But the brother was already here long before whatever happened in Lake Wales.
I'm going to say that's correct.
Well, yeah, I don't know that long before. I don't know that we know how long he's been here, but he was here.
It wasn't hours.
I don't know. Do you guys know? We don't know yet.
Okay.
We don't know yet.
As far as the other people who were at the hotel when this happened, were they all evacuated? What happened there?
Essentially, we had many of them stay in place, shelter in place. There were a couple of people who we moved out of the hotel when we felt that it was safe enough to do that. How would you describe the danger to those people? Considering that they had been in constant conversation with him, both inside and outside the hotel, we don't believe that there was that great of a threat, but we wanted to make sure that they were safe. So we did move some of the individuals who we could, but those who are really connected to that room, we made them shelter in place.
Chief, can you talk all about what happened at the Circle K this morning?
That one is still under investigation. I've been here since 5:30 this morning, mostly dealing with this situation here. So as we get additional information, we'll put that out as well.
But that is a homicide investigation unrelated to this, right?
It's still an ongoing investigation.
So you can only say it's a shooting investigation.
Yes. Unrelated to this. Completely unrelated to what we have going on here.
All right, Chief.
I do want to wrap just by, again, commending the actions of these officers that are out here. We never take for granted the way that they train, the way that they prepare. Nobody wants to come into work on a day like this and actually have to use lethal force. But the way they've responded, the way that they put themselves in harm's way in work is a blessing to our community and our organizations. And from our perspective, they handled this thing with textbook precision. Negotiations going on, try to neutralize the threat, got him to walk away from the weapon, used a less lethal option. He went for the gun. They put him down and then immediately started to administer CPR to him. That is a lot for these folks to take on, and I think that our community should be incredibly grateful that men and women will take on this career and this passion to be able to do it.
Sheriff, people are wondering if he put his firearm down, why fire the foam baton?
This guy is a murderer, a threat, and he did not fully comply with the orders to walk far enough away from the firearm where we felt like he could not get to it in a matter of time where he could present a threat to the officers that were on scene. This wasn't a scenario that he put the firearm down, he placed his hands behind his back, he walked a distance away from the firearm. Should those circumstances have occurred, we would have taken him into custody. He was close enough proximity to the firearm where he still presented a threat to the people that were on scene.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Chief.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.